Yeah.
Okay, well, this is not my
I have
council.
a question, how long is that PER good for?
Oh, any number of years. The only thing, unless something substantial has changed with the situation.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
like if the line fails, and I really hope it doesn't.
Mhm.
Oh, I could say something that would be taken out of context, and I don't want that because the cameras are freaking me out. But in the world of grant writing, bad news is good news. So catastrophes actually get funded.
Mhm.
If you're proactive, like the council has been, you tend not to be funded. Well, you should be, but it's easier to reward people who have a system that's broken.
Oh, I understand,
So-
I guess my question.
So, but the PER is good for, usually the length of time that the funding agencies consider a PER good is 5 years.
Okay, that was just,
Yep.
you know,
And
we've
the only
got 5
reason
years
that
to
we,
work on them,
yeah,
so.
we did a new PER, in fact, it wasn't a new one, what we did was we just tweaked the
Amended.
original PER to include the grant request for fire hydrants, gate valves, water lines and things like that. So
Okay.
that's why if we would have wanted a whole brand new PER, it would have cost us about $50,000. At that point, we had already gotten the grant money for the PER, so we only put out about $5,000 in total to have that tweaked. So, yeah, we lost a little bit of money, but
I
with more
wouldn't say
information.
we lost anything.
No, we didn't, we got a lot of information out of it, but we can use that information going forward and
Yeah.
see if we can't do this again in a couple of years.
We're still using PERs that are 8 to 10 years old.
Okay,
Now, you have to update them, like just
Yeah,
the way
you
Shirley
have
just
to tweak
described
them a
it.
little
You
bit.
have to do addendums,
Mhm.
but that's a relatively low cost and potentially a great reward, so. And let's hope that line does not fail, but, any other questions? That's a good question.
well, my next question, and I guess this would be only if they decided to pursue doing another DLA grant. Do you foresee them putting like, some grants I know that if you apply for a grant, even if you don't get it, you're only up to every other year, you know, you're only, you can only qualify every other year or, so that's.
No, I
why.
don't anticipate any kind of restriction like that.
Okay,
No, I don't. The DLA program is modeled closely after the Treasure State Endowment Program,
okay,
very closely, and I don't expect any kind of restriction. And in fact, in some communities, there are many communities in the state where I see them going for, if it becomes a permanent program, I could see communities like Fromberg going back every 2 years and getting funding, and that's completely fine.
mhm,
Yeah, or at least trying to get funding.
Mhm.
So, so we'll see. We'll see what kind of fire season we have, and what kind of mood the legislature's in next January, so. But yeah, good question. Any other questions? Yeah. So, council, you're awfully quiet.
Taking it all.
Pretty serious over there.
Any other questions?
Well, well, my card is on the desk. Please feel free to contact me. I get asked about funding all the time. It's one of my favorite subjects, as you can tell. I tend to run off at the mouth, but yeah, I am available and I'd be happy to help. So.
And your company knows our needs, and if something
Very
should
well.
come up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chad knows this community very, very well, and we're available, obviously. And the baby wipes thing is a major problem in every community. They are not flushable. They cause a lot of problems. So, yeah. And if there's nothing else, may I be excused? It's a long drive
Thank you
home.
very much.
yeah.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Hey, very much, thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
I appreciate
Going
it.
through that with us.
And for the first time I took the Joliet Fromberg Road, which was interesting.
Did you get lost?
No, I didn't get lost,
Okay.
but man, I tell you, there's a lot of mule deer,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm not going back that way. Very scenic though, I enjoyed it, but not at night, not with all those deer, so. I hope to see you again soon. Again, talk to your legislators. Those are the folks who can make the difference and make the program permanent. And if anything, tell them we need to put more money into the thing. But we'll see how the fire season goes. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good to see you again, Jane.
Safe travels.
Yes, thank you.
See ya.
I think we're going to look at Resolution 495 to approve the Carbon County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. Have you reviewed that in any way? Just want to reiterate that if we do not adopt the plan, if we have any kind of hazard in Fromberg or around Fromberg, like flooding or whatever, we are not eligible for funding from FEMA, state agencies, federal agencies to take care of that problem, so.
I'd like to make a motion to accept resolution 495.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution multi-hazard mitigation plan 495 and a second, all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to look at, everyone has copy of the inventory and insurance plans for MMIA, who is our state insured. What we need to discuss is, do you want to do a replacement cost on buildings, equipment, things that are going to cost us a ton of money if it's destroyed, and, or do you want to just insure it for,
What's the difference in cost as far as replacement versus?
well, our insurance premiums are going to go up quite a bit simply because of the new lagoon. We have to insure that at a replacement cost, because if we had to rebuild it, it would cost us close to 6 million if something happened, that we would, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already gotten into debt for like 4.7 million, so let's,
I would imagine the lender requires that as well, do
yes,
they not?
they do.
Okay. So we don't have any choice there. What we're discussing is
we have to
the
have
other buildings and
Right,
contents.
yep. So if you look through the list, it will list all of the real property that is stationary and, you know, like the city shop, city hall building, lagoons, the well house, pumps, all of that stuff.
Who
That's,
put these values on here?
those we got as a suggestion from MMIA as to what the values were. And then some of them we got from the values in the past.
Do you feel like they're realistic?
I think that probably the stuff in the fire hall, the vehicles, equipment, things like that, I don't think that that estimation is as high as it should be.
That was my concern just by looking
Yeah,
at it.
the city shop, I think, should be a little higher. I don't think it, you know, with all of the equipment and everything that's in it, if something happened to that, it's gonna cost us a little bit more than what they've listed as a replacement cost. The park play equipment, that would be not something that, you know, we would have to put out tons of money to replace.
Right.
The pump house and the chlorine building, the tower, a lot of that stuff, so I think we probably could, the tower, I think would be a little over $500,000 now if we had to replace any damage, you know, if that was damaged in any way. It would cost us, I think we spent 435 or 440 about 10 or 12 years ago when they put that water tower, that new one up. So you, with the inflation and everything that's going on, you know it's gonna come up another, at least 100, another 50,000. So we'll have to look at that and see where we're at on cost replacement.
Our old water reservoir, see, we don't have anything
No,
down.
well, we don't, that's that old pump house and it's filled with water and junk. And it was supposed to have been cleaned out 5 years ago, it never was.
Now, we do have an old water reservoir that's up here on the west side of town.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it should be bulldozed in and covered up or
Well,
hauled out or something, because it's a hazard to everybody around
but
it.
there's a zero replacement cost on that, isn't there?
Yeah,
Okay,
but we need to look at the liability of that.
yeah. Well, we look at that with the liability through the insurance on our liability side. If somebody gets hurt or whatever, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, because there ain't no way out of that building.
How are we valuing the 20-year-old car at $28,000?
Yeah, it's like seeing that was a little steep for a Crown Vic, it's worth
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
$1,500.
no,
Can't even move.
we might not even get that if we put it up for sale and bid it out.
You wouldn't
We'll be
even
lucky to
you
get
would
400 for it.
Yeah, so what is the value? of
Well, those
$20,000?
things we can get rid of. I mean, we don't even have to carry insurance on those because we're gonna put them up for bid anyway.
So what's the projected increase in the yearly budget for insurance if we go with replacement?
What is the yearly insurance now? It's like 15, 14 something, 1,400?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Did they send anything, what that cost, or what that would be? the
No, they
variation?
just, they would just, we have to fill in all the blanks first and
And
then
then
they
they'll give us a
it's a
quote.
quote.
Yeah. And it'll probably go up another, at least 150.
I'd say we get a
I'd-
quote from them
Yeah.
with the replacement, and then we go through and pick off what we don't feel
And
like.
that- it all has to be done before the end of the month.
So we'll have to get that information and you guys look at it, cross out, you know, go through it and look at it and decide what you want to do with it, and then we can have another meeting before the end of the month and decide what we're going to do. But it has to be submitted soon, so.
I was gonna say, we're gonna have to get it to them sooner than later type thing.
Mhm.
Pretty much everything's close besides the shop needing to be increased for sure.
Mhm.
So is this list
That's
all
what
inclusive?
that's what they gave me, that's what we've had in the past.
Right. And we've
So-
added like the skid steer and,
Well,
you know, a couple
some of
things.
those
but-
stuff, the shop, as you can see, shows the shop is worth 100 and something, it's by itself, and then 100,000 something for the.
Contents?
And contents.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I don't know if the building is worth, to rebuild it $170,000 or,
I think you'd have a hard time building it for that.
and like I said,
And then Jeremy has, him and Jay both have gone through and
did an inventory list.
did an inventory list for all of the equipment and stuff in the shop.
And then Chad gave us
And
a
then we've got, yeah,
replacement cost.
from Great West in Engineering, all the replacement costs, which you'll find here on the, that we'll have to increase our insurance on that too, so.
And we've been gathering, acquiring more tools as we go. How-
Well, we've had to, because,
So much came up missing.
yeah,
Did we ever file any kind of claims with our insurance?
we didn't have enough that we could go on to file an insurance claim with them.
And it doesn't require about district cars, you need to give them the information.
So the choice is full replacement or what?
Stated. So that means that, like if he wanted to not replace something, like the vehicles,
Okay.
then you would go without. If that roller, if we don't sell it, something happens to it, somebody vandalizes it or something like that, if we put it as stated, they would just whatever we stated as less than a replacement cost. If we wanted to replace it, it would be the cost of a new roller. And that roller is something we cannot use, so we might as well sell it to somebody who can.
Well, the Billings scrap people the salvage people in Billings, 2 companies, said that with the cost of lifting it, hauling it to Billings and everything else, if we salvaged it, we'd be lucky to get $500 for it.
So, I tell them they want it if it's still, the streets capable of handling the weight.
That's the biggest problem, is that our streets and our lines, that roller was too big and too heavy to begin with, to go ahead and use it on our streets to repair our streets. It's just weird. Anyway, so,
And in the past, we've been paying for full replacement?
I don't even think the roller's on there, but I don't
No,
know.
like for
No,
everything.
for the entire,
Some of it,
inventory.
as on those papers, it'll show, it'll say stated, or replacement cost, so,
those items were
those
not
items are the-
replacement.
yeah. And, like, I know that lagoons are not put on the insurance as anything is now, because,
well, we have until June to get that done, but as long as we're going to insure and get us replacement cost and get that all done now, we need to add the lagoons, because
yeah,
it's just,
might as well have it now and have it in effect by the time June rolls around, so that we're not scrambling if something happens. So if you guys just wanna write what you think on those papers and hand them in, and then I'll just go through them and fill out the paperwork and hand it to.
My challenge is, I'm looking at a list of a bunch of items in the shop,
yeah, it's
and I
on.
have no idea what they're worth. If it was worth $50, I would say no. If it was worth
Well, the contents,
$5,000, I would say yes.
well, like I said, the contents, or the shop contents is already insured
Listed
for.
under a loan.
Under a lump, it's $100,000 for, or whatever it is on the,
I can tell you $100,000 would not go very far.
so we can change that to a replacement cost and up the cost on the replacement, because when you look at the shop, it tells you how much the building is, tells you how much the contents is. So if we want to,
What, my question is, if we chose to do replacement cost, how are we gonna come up with a number?
you estimate it like they've estimated the 100,000, I would think, that's.
Well, with the shop inventory, like all of the tools and the machinery and stuff in there, the mowers and stuff like that, I think that should just be a replacement cost as a whole. So if we wanted to insure it for, say, 200,000, then you could replace a lot of the, really important equipment, stuff that we have to use all of the time in the shop with that amount of money.
You're certain of that?
No, but I can sure look it up and find out. I do have a
That was my
list of
concern, 'cause I don't
replacement
know.
costs from Northern Tool, and there's one other company that I got a replacement cost for. But I got that last year, so,
We can use that.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'll bring it down tomorrow and have Jan print it out, and you guys can pick it up and take a look at it. So we wanna table this, we don't really,
We can't do anything tonight on this
No.
anyway, can we?
No. But like I said, I have to have everything into MMIA by the end of the month.
yeah.
So we
And
gotta
it
make-
doesn't have to be a council approval.
No, it just,
It's just saying, yes, go ahead and let's get this taken care of.
and
But I
this,
wanted
guess
you
I don't
guys to look
understand
at all
that.
of that. Well, because you don't have to have motion. I mean, normally the insurance, process is just, we go in and, normally the clerk, the town clerk, goes and gets information from the public works guys and the fire department, stuff like that. Give her, estimated cost of what they think, and that's what she writes down and she sends it in. It doesn't have to be approved by the council or anything, but you guys need to know what's covered,
appreciate-
what isn't, you know?
I appreciate the
and I don't wanna
information.
make the decision of having it stated or replaced a value and then not have the right value to, on a replacement, then cost the town so much more. I'd rather pay the insurance
My
price.
opinion is we should do everything replacement.
I agree.
So
I
what we'll,
agree,
what we'll do is
100%.
I'll get some numbers for the shop inventory. We already have pretty close numbers for the, real property, which is, you know, all wired down. But we'll get some, I'll get some numbers, I'll write it on this. And then we can go through and, look at my list of replacement from last year, from Northern Tool and,
Can we do one
Think
more
I've got it
thing, is,
from
is, is get that information as to what the actual cost of the policy would be
yeah.
before you make that
I'll
final
call,
move?
I'll talk to MMIA and say,
Send me a text or something?
and,
But I'll get some numbers and get them written down, and then Jan can get a hold of MMIA. They can give us an estimate of the insurance premium cost, and then we'll let you know.
Okay.
But I just wanted you guys to be involved in this stuff, so you know,
I
actually
appreciate that.
know what's going on and not have it by guess and by golly. Okay, so we're on to new business, and the next item on the agenda would be draw 28 for Great West.
I make a motion that we accept the draw for number 28 for the wastewater sludge removal.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve draw 28 for wastewater sludge removal. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 497 is something that we need to probably get in as soon as we possibly can. It is for the Barca Fund that was set up about 3 years ago where we get extra gas and oil money. It's a special fund. So last year we got, what was it, $8,000, almost $9,000.
probably closer to 9,000.
Real close to 9,000, and
Or
this
over
year,
9,000.
our allocation will be 12,290.74.
Now,
Make
we
a
can,
motion, we accept that.
from my understanding, from my understanding, we can do it now, or we can put it on hold. But we'll have to do a budget amendment because we did not know how much this was going to be when we did our budget. So we will have to amend the budget so it will be in our Barca funds. So, or we can wait until the fiscal year in July, because we have until November to do this.
I don't see what,
And it's-
why
we
we
also
ever
have
say
to-
no.
No, we won't say no, but we can put it on a back burner until later if we want to. But you also have to have a project.
Right, so we have to decide
We've got
which
$1 million
street we're gonna
So-
look at.
So you have to look at a project saying, okay, this is what we wanna do.
Right,
Which street deserves to be, or which,
So we have to allocate those funds to
We-
the project.
yes, so.
Before we
we-
do
yes.
this
when you
process.
when you go online and you apply for this,
Mhm.
you have to check off a whole bunch of things, but then it'll have a project name, and you can use it for streets, sidewalks, you know, all kinds of different things, as long as it's infrastructure in the city.
Mhm.
But you have to specify which project you have to look for, that you list on there. And
Okay.
when you expect it to be completed, and what the cost is gonna be. So,
Can we get some public input from this?
Yes.
Can we
Like
put
I
it
said, we don't
on
have
the
to,
website and take,
we
public
don't have
comment?
to have, like I said, we can,
Or
we don't,
comment box on
we
one
don't
thing.
have to apply for it and it, until November. It is just a resolution to let you know that it's there, we can,
But it'd be a
we
good
need
thing to even just have a box in the drop box where if,
yeah,
say,
Yeah.
out of the 5 people that can't even throw their name to paper, wanna throw a note in and saying, this is the street we need done, at least someone spoke up.
Well, I can think of 3 right offhand that really
Sure.
need
I mean,
to be
that's our
repaired.
opinion.
I think of 10 projects that we can.
Well, West River, just above the bridge, really needs to be done. North Missouri needs to be done down to the school street. Montana Avenue over here, needs to be done.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be, I think that, but if we get our,
We could
let's
do
pass the
how many
resolution
hydrants
so
with
that
that
it's
money?
already done, and then.
2?
this is roads, this is roads,
That's only roads?
Roads,
Okay.
only
yeah,
roads.
streets
streets
and
and,
sidewalks can be included, but right now
I would
we're
like
not
to get
looking at
public
that.
comment.
and that's fine. We can approve the resolution, we don't have to apply for it until November.
Okay.
But we need to have some kind of project, like last year we used kids court.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we have to approve the resolution so
Yeah.
that we can,
Okay.
go from there, so.
So Dave, you motion to approve the resolution?
Yes.
And I'll second.
So we have a motion to approve Larson County's resolution 497 and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Because the first time we did it was right after I was elected the first term, and I went online and filled all of that stuff out, so I'm pretty familiar with
Great.
where we're going with that, so.
Good.
And we got it, I applied for it in March, we got the check in April. I mean, it was like that fast.
Should have applied twice.
Yeah, I don't think they'd go for that. Okay, so resolution 496 is a resolution to have the town clerk as signatory along with me and Tim on all of Bank of Bridger accounts.
Is that common practice?
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 496.
Okay,
I'll second it.
have a motion and a second to approve resolution 496, that the town clerk treasurer be a signatory on all the Bridger bank accounts, and approved by a quorum, so we're gonna go one by one. So Timothy,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
So this is duly passed and adopted by the town of Fromberg, Montana on March the 9th of 2020. Thank you. The next item is to approve the Carbon County Growth Plan, Resolution 498.
And I can say that it was, what's on the desk has been given to the commissioners to approve or make changes. So if it is approved by the commissioners, I think this next week, it will stand as it is. If they have some, it'll be probably little corrections, but, we took probably a good 6 to 8 months to compile everything with public comments and everything from the planning board. I know this because I'm on the planning.
Yeah.
So, so I say it is probably pretty complete, and I don't think the commissioners will have any problems approving that. Like I said, if there is, it's only minor.
That looks like a pretty substantial document.
And it's not mandatory, it's not a like Forrest has said, it's not a mandatory thing that you have to follow, but it's a guidance.
Mhm.
And it also helps to, when we do our subdivisions, then they're there to help us, make sure that they're done right.
And it also helps when we apply for grants.
Yes,
That's part of the,
yes. So with our
Benefits of that.
multi-hazard mitigation and our growth policy approved, chances for grants, and when we get our AFRs and our audits done and everything's up to board, we will be sitting better to get grants and funding, once everything is done and updated.
We voted on whether or not to adopt this a few months back, did we not?
Several years ago.
So the last one I
we tabled
saw was the 18th, and I think we tabled this one until it was further down the line and almost
Is
complete.
that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Cause I went
At
and
least it's-
I think it was 2018. They revise them every 5 years, just like the hazard plan, mitigation plans. So every 5 years, they update them.
So are we expected to read through that?
It's only 74 pages considered to the 300 or whatever it was on the other one.
Before we put this to motion?
No, because like I said, it's not mandatory, it's just a guideline. And it tells you basically school population, schools and
Has
different-
maps of all, everything and.
maps, and it tells you growths, different growths in different years, just what kind of, if it's agricultural, what you would like to see if it's agricultural and or business growth and all that stuff. It's just what's happened in the past and what's happening now, and something that we can sort of use as a guideline for the future.
Got
It's
a
not-
question?
It also helps people in town, like, whether it be, I don't know if the school uses it, but I know a grant that was recently applied for, and it was referred back to that. You use it in a lot of references
Okay.
on that part.
And like I said, it
Everybody
is
zero.
probably.
We used it as a reference when we applied for the grants for the lagoon. And it did, I think that the percentages were like 23% better, something in the long run, so.
Like I said, I think as much as that we've gone through and changed it over the last 6 to 8 months, I would say the commissioners probably would not change it a bit and adopt it just as it is. There might be a few, but it has how many businesses in the area and the employees.
And
Just-
projections?
And projections, and not too much projections, but just, how it's been growing, where it's been declining. Agricultural, what you wanna do if you want, more business in the area.
So do we need to make a motion on this?
I make a motion, we accept the growth policy, county growth policy.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the Carbon County Growth Plan, Resolution 498, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to review ordinance 525, amending ordinance 278 to change the date of the council meeting. And it says, ordinance amending Fromberg Code 25-11, regular meeting to amend notice requirements, be it enacted by the town